Hi there. My name is Brad. I'm the youth and family pastor here at Solana First Church of God, and I wanted to welcome you into something that I'm going to call the Wednesday Word. Each week, we're going to be going through a random passage of Scripture, and we're going to be going through that and asking four main questions. The first one that we're going to look at is the literal meaning of the text. What's literally happening in this text of Scripture? The second one is going to be the interpretive meaning. Okay, so we know what's literally happening. We see the text on the page and we understand that. What does it mean? Is there an interpretive lens that we can look through the text? The third one is going to be application. Okay, so we've learned what's literally happening. We learned what it means. Now, what does it mean in my life? How does it affect me? How does it change the way that I'm living? And then fourthly is the surprise. What is just something, maybe that doesn't even have to do with the interpretation or the application. What's just something that stands out to me? And in that fourth one, I want to invite you to leave a comment or to tell me something that just stood out to you in the passage we're looking at. So we are going to roll our dice and we're going to literally see what passage comes up on random. So we'll roll this first one. That's 4. That's going to be the Gospel of John. We're going to use a D20. We're going to be in chapter 15, and we're going to do another D20 because that's a longer chapter. So that's John verse 15, or chapter 15, verse 5. So I'm going to get on over there. So our verse is John 15:5, and that verse is, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. It's a wonderful passage of Scripture. It reveals so much about who Jesus is, and what a wonderful one to start off for our first Wednesday word. So what's literally happening here? Well, this is part of what is called the farewell discourse in the Gospel of John. These are some of the last words Jesus says to his disciples before he goes to the cross. And it's kind of his last things that he wants to make sure they're clear on before he goes to the cross and eventually goes to be ascended with his Father in heaven. So what's in the context of this passage? Well, it's also a section of that farewell discourse talking about the vine and the branches. It reveals a lot about who Jesus is, how he's connected to his Father, and he's inviting the disciples to be connected to him. And in that connection, they will receive the love that they need so they can go out and serve and love the people around them. So that's the literal words on the page, the context that we need to understand what's happening in this verse. So what is the interpretive lens? That's our second question, our second thing we're focusing on this verse. So we see here language about vines and branches. Now, this is one of my favorite parts about the Gospel of John. John makes Jesus into an epic poet, or at least he highlights the way that Jesus uses poetry to make bigger meaning of the things he's trying to say. So he's using these terms of vine and branches, fruit and attachment. Now, all of these things evoke a certain image in our mind. When a vine is healthy, it's connected to the life source. It's connected to something that's going to produce and give life to it. And out of that life will spawn fruit. Now, we aren't just talking about literal vines and life sources and fruit. We can easily see that Jesus is trying to make us realize that we're the vine. And what we connect ourselves to is either going to give us the life that we need to flourish or isn't going to provide that. And if it doesn't provide that, that's going to lead to our own death, our own draining. Have you ever felt drained at the end of the day? Like life is just taking a lot out of you. The offer that Jesus has is to be connected to him. And that when we are truly and fully connected to him, we will receive so much life that we will produce fruit. Fruit that other people can see and partake and receive from us. So this is our interpretive lens. We're going to shift our focus to our third question, which is application. Okay, so Jesus is talking about vines and fruit and all that. And we know that it's not literal, it's a figurative metaphor about discipleship and how we can be connected to Jesus. So what does that mean for you and for me today? Now, likely, it shouldn't be a surprise to us that the Bible and that the gospel is kind of pointing us in the direction of if we want full and abundant life, we should be connected to Jesus. That he is the source of life, and as we are connected to him, we will have more fuller and more abundant life and produce fruit. Now, what does that look like? For you and me, what does that boots on the ground look like on the day-to-day basis? Well, for one, I would argue that if you're watching this and you've gotten all the way this far through, that you are already doing one of the key things that the Bible prescribes, and that is to look at Scripture, to allow it to marinate in your life and let it change you in some way. I think that this is going to be an awesome and fun way to engage in Scripture online, but I'd encourage you to look through the Word yourself, to consider what it means for your life on a regular basis. And maybe that even looks like going through Scripture with someone else, whether that is a friend, a family member, a pastor, or a trusted adult. I encourage us all to continually be fed by the fruit of Scripture and to talk through it with others, to be in community with that. So we've done the literal interpretation, we've done the interpretive work, we've done the application, and now is one of my favorites, is just the surprise. Just something that the Spirit's leading me in this moment, in this space, to say about this Scripture. And maybe something that the Spirit's leading you to say about this Scripture. So when I read this again, and I consider it, I just think about how often I consider what fruit I'm bringing into the world. Because it can be really easy to just focus on how much life I'm getting, how abundant life can be for me. But what I love about this is that Jesus offers us so much life, not just so that we can be comfortable or life can be easy or that we can feel good about ourselves, but so that we can bring fruit to others. That fruit can be something we can put out into this world, something good we can put out into this world, because we all know if we've been living long enough, this world can be a dark and scary and lonely place. So not only does Jesus give us a refuge by giving us life, he invites us to be life for others. And I think that is a worthy and good thing to pursue for the rest of our lives. Like I said, friends, this is something new we're doing. Give us some feedback. Let me know how you've been enjoying this or if you want to see more of these. But no matter where you're at in your spiritual journey, I want to end with this. I pray that you can feel the Lord's presence and blessing on this day.